It's important that we take time to deal with vision. It's important that we take time to deal with all these things that have been holding you back, that have kept you bound. It's important that we deal with these things because I don't want anybody anybody to go through 2024 in the same position, same conditions, same mindset, same mess, same all of that you've been in the past couple of years. You know, last year was, I said a year vision, right? So one could say it was the year of revelation, right? It was the year that things would be revealed to you. It was the year that visions and things would become clear to you. It's the year that God would reveal His plans and His desires for your life. It was the year of vision last year, and this year is the year that that stuff is gonna start coming to pass, and you're gonna start to, be able to walk in it and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, I I I I, I last year. Let me just start here. Last year, I shared with you all. I shared with you all about vision, and I talked to you all about vision, and I told you that vision does a couple of things. I said that vision, first off, it gives you purpose, right? It gives you a drive. It gives you, when Habakkuk 2 tells us to write the vision and to make it plain. And again, this is all stuff that I talked about on last year when we started talking about vision. And so I want you to continue to remember these things because as you go through these life challenges, I shared with you all on Monday. We talked about fear, right, and not letting fear stop us or block us. Well, let's take that a step further. Then, if we are going to work our way past fear, I need you to know and understand. And I've shared this with you before, and I even talked about it on Monday. There will be obstacles, there will be trials, there will be tribulations. As a matter of fact, in my book, Dreaming Big Dreams While Living in a Small World. That book is out. You can catch it or not catch it, but you can find it on by googling my name, James W. Chavis, by googling, or going to Amazon and typing in. You can type in my name on Amazon, and the book comes up. You can type in the book's name, Dreaming Big Dreams While Living in a Small World. I know it's a long name. I'll give it to you again. Dreaming Big Dreams While Living in a Small World. That's the full name of the book. You can put that into Google or Amazon. The book is there. But dreaming big dreams while living in a small world. While in that book, I talk about how it always seems to happen that as soon as you get started with the vision, and in particular in the book, I talk about, I call it a dream as opposed to a vision because I'm particularly dealing with Joseph, and the vision slash dream that God gave him. And as we deal with his dream or vision, it always seems to happen that whenever you get started in the dream, in the vision, in the thing that God has set for you to do, it always seems to happen that everything else around you starts to go haywire, starts to go crazy. It seems to never fail. The dream starts going good. And like I said, some people say, well, no, that ain't my story, that ain't my case. All right, maybe not. But for some of us, let me just say it, some of us sometimes it seems like soon as you start living that dream or walking out that dream, the marriage goes awry. Or if it's not the marriage, then it's the kids. If it's not the kids, then it's, your health. Or if it's not your health, then and it always seems to happen that as soon as you start walking in it, as soon as you start trying to pursue it and do it, then comes this big financial hit that comes, and you're like, ah, man, I got to deal with this. There's always going to be some sort of crisis. I shared with you all at the end of last year, going into this year, when this dream, when this vision, and somebody said, well, why are you referring to a dream? Again, I'm talking from the topic or the standpoint of my book, Dreaming Big Dreams. And in the book, I refer to it as a dream, uh, a God given dream, mind you, because that's what Joseph had. But for our sake, I'll call it a dream and or a vision, right? It's a God given dream or a God given vision. So if I say dream, I'm not meaning like when you're asleep and you have a dream. I mean a vision that God has given you, right, for your life. And anyhow, that's what I'm referring to. So God has given you this vision, and as you have this dream, this vision, Joseph, God gave him this vision, and he was just going about life, and he was learning everything his father told him to learn, doing everything his father told him to do, and then all of a sudden, his brothers turn on him and throw him into the pit. He hears them talking about, what they're gonna do with him next, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah, and he just, he's concerned, he's worried, and maybe at first he thinks, oh, this is just a joke, this is just a prank, they're gonna pull me out, right? But then after a little bit, he starts to worry, you know. Now, again, I want you to also kind of think of it in terms of this. Joseph was caught off guard by this when they attacked him. I'll just call it what it was. It was an attack. When they attacked him, he was thrown off guard, and then they stripped him of his coat, and then they threw him into the well. Now, mind you, this was an empty well, right? It had been dried out. So that means when Joseph hit bottom, he hit hard ground, bottom. You can imagine maybe the wind was knocked out of him or whatever the case. I don't know if you've ever taken a pretty hard fall, but I have. And I remember when I took that hard fall, the wind kind of got knocked out of me for a second. And then when I finally could come, breathe again, it was like, and you start to think about what didn't happen, what's going on. And many of us have been in that experience or in that situation where, we God has given us a vision for our life. And then as we are working the vision or on our way toward the vision, the rug is snatched from underneath our feet and we end up hitting the ground. And as we hit rock bottom, if you will, we then come to and like, Lord, what happened? What happened? What happened? I want to encourage you to not get distracted. Don't be dismayed. I shared with you all the other day from Second Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter number 4. And I particularly want us to look at verse number 8. It says, let me read verse number 7. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. All right, verse number 8. We are hard pressed on every side, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. Friends, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you because, see, Joseph, even though his brothers had turned on him and all that, he was perplexed, but he wasn't in despair, I don't believe. He just knew God. No, God showed me this vision, and my life can't end and won't end here. This I don't know what my brothers are doing, but I know that this is not the end, right? And I want to first encourage somebody on today. I don't know what you may be facing. I don't know what you may be dealing with. I don't know who may have turned on you. I don't know who may have stabbed you in the back. I don't know what your details of your situation are, but I do know that just because the situation has arisen doesn't mean that you're not supposed to work out and walk out that dream, that vision, that thing that God has for you to do. Just because the folks are laughing in your face and behind your back, and they doing, as my wife likes to say, they playing in your face and all that carrying on. It doesn't mean that you're not supposed to or not meant to walk out that vision and to have the thing that God showed you. What does it mean? It means you've got to keep on pressing. It means that you've got to keep on pushing. It means that you've got to keep on working. I want you to understand, Joseph, all right, then his brothers come, and they throw him a rope, and he's thinking, all right, this is over with. They're going to let me go. They're going to let me go, or the joke's over now, only to be sold into slavery. And say, all right, well, all right, see, here's the thing. Even in that, Joseph said, that's all right. God's got a plan for me. That's why I love and I hold on to Jeremiah 29. I'm telling you, I hold on to it because I understand what he was saying when he said, "For I know the plans that I think towards you. They are plans of good and not of evil. They're plans to prosper you and not to harm you. You know, they're plans to bring you to an expected end." I get that now. He had to tell us those things because if let me just be honest, I mean, some of this stuff that I've been through on the way to the vision, I would have thought God hated me. I would have thought God was upset with me. I remember, let me just say, I remember, you know, I shared this the other day to some degree, but let me take it a step further. I remember I had just proposed to, my now wife, right? And I had a conversation with my dad, this, that, and the other, you know, um, and then after all of that, he talked to her on my birthday, and that was their first and only conversation, and so I was like, all right, cool. They didn't finally had a conversation, this, that, and the other. Well, let me bring her to meet him, and we get here, and he's dead, and he had been dead for 2 weeks, and see, that's one of those obstacles, one of those things where I could have been like, you know what, God must not want me to be with this young lady. God, no, I know He gave me a vision, He should, but no, maybe because now here it is, after He didn't talk to her, and I'm on my way to, now he's dead. I could have given up in that moment. I could have aborted the vision, but no, I know what God showed me. And I have held on to it then, and it made me, as a matter of fact, what it made me do then, and is pushing me to do now, is to run harder, to run further, to run faster. Because here's the thing, and I said all this to get to this point. The devil doesn't try to stop, block, or distract you from anything that is not worth it, from anything that God doesn't have plan and purpose for anything that's not going to do some critical damage against His kingdom of darkness. Listen, the devil doesn't try to stop and block stuff that doesn't matter, that doesn't equal to anything. But let me just encourage you. Let me just encourage you. If the enemy is trying to block it, if the enemy is trying to stop it, it is because there's something great in it, and he doesn't want you to get to it. So Joseph was sold into slavery. He goes and he ends up working in Potiphar's house. We don't know how that happened, but somehow or another, that's where he ended up. And he ended up at the right place at the right time. There's a movie I used to like to watch called Idlewild, and they used to have a saying. They would always say, "God don't make no mistakes," and then the other one would reply back, "You ain't said nothing slick to a can of oil." And I want you to know, God doesn't make mistakes. When you go through, that's why I love what James said. And I know I keep repeating it, but as I prepare you for what God is trying to do in this year, what God is about to do in the coming months of your life, I want you to see and know and understand that when you go through these trials and tribulations, He is perfecting you. And I know it to be so because he said it more than once. He didn't just say it in James, but also what was in 1 Peter 5, right? And verse 10, I think it is. Either way, but he says after, in that position, he says, after you've suffered a while, I will perfect, strengthen, and establish you. In James, he said, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. Friends, I just want to encourage you on today. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're dealing with, but I need you to know you cannot afford to get distracted. You cannot afford to get distracted by all the stuff that's happening around you. And you get so distracted that you give up and you quit. Again, the devil doesn't try to stop and block and distract things and people who are not on purpose and on mission for God. He has no reason to try to stop, block, and deter his own folks and people who ain't going nowhere and people who aren't doing anything. But if the devil is raising hell and sand in your life, if God has allowed obstacles and things to come in your life, God allowed stuff to happen in Job's life because he had plan, purpose, and all of that for Job, and he was setting Job up for greater. He was setting Job up for more. Don't think that he allowed Satan to do it just off of a whim, just to prove a bet or prove a point even. No, he was trying to perfect, strengthen, and establish Job and make Job greater than where he was and what he was. And I want to encourage you and let you know that he's trying to do the same in you. That's why. That's why the scripture makes so much sense now, where he says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to come and dwell. I'm paraphrasing this last part, but to come and dwell among men, to put on stinky, nasty, corruptible flesh, and to walk among us. Right? So we've got to say, hey, more problems, more issues, more drama, more hell, bring it on. I've got this. God, you've got me in this. I'm not worried about this. It's all good. I can handle it. Oh, yeah, because I know greater is he who is within me than he who's within. Lord, I know that there is nothing that's going to happen today that you and I can't handle together. It's mostly you, but you're doing it. You're working in me. So I know that we can handle this thing. Friends, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. Don't let fear and don't let negativity, don't let obstacles, trials, tribulations, none of these things stop you or block you on the way to the vision. I'm telling you, God's got a plan and a purpose for you. He knows the thoughts and the plans that he has towards you. Their thoughts and their plans of good and not of evil, He had to tell you that they were good and not of evil. Because when you go through these things, you're going to think he's upset with you. You're going to think he's mad with you. You're going to think that he don't care about you. And you're going to be like, Lord, don't you see? Lord, don't you know? Lord, don't you care? Yes, he does. But he's perfecting me. He's perfecting me. Matter of fact, I'm going to play that song for you right now as I close out. I want to encourage you. He's preparing you, right? He is preparing you. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give in. You'll make it. You'll see the vision if you don't quit. If you don't relent to the fear. If you don't let the fear overtake you, you'll make it. If you don't let negativity, if you don't let obstacles, if you don't let, I'm just going to say it the way I keep seeing it. If you don't let death, and I'm talking about death of a loved one, death of somebody close to you, death of a marriage, if you don't let these things stop you, block you, deter you, and keep you from doing what God called you to do, you'll see the promises of God. You'll see everything that he said that you shall have if you don't quit. All right? All right, friends. Here is Daryl Coley with He Is Preparing Me right here on I Am Encouraged Radio here on 93.5 KPPM. This has been the Word of Encouragement with Pastor James W. Chavis on I Am Encouraged Radio.